General game perception. Hype versus reality. When Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 was first revealed, excitement swept through the community. Early previews from YouTubers, many of whom were directly partnered with the developers or publishers, painted the game as a groundbreaking improvement over its predecessor. This enthusiasm, coupled with glowing reviews from game journalists, created a strong initial wave of positive perception. The game even earned a nomination for Fighting Game of the Year, a recognition that, in hindsight, feels unwarranted given the issues that quickly emerged. Gameplay: a sluggish departure. Upon release, it became evident that Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 failed to deliver the fast-paced, fluid combat that fans adored in the first game. The new slime meter, introduced as a central mechanic, hampered the experience by restricting combos and slowing down the overall pace of matches. Instead of enhancing the gameplay, it became a source of frustration, leaving many players yearning for the simplicity and speed of the original. Adding to the dissatisfaction, the AI was poorly implemented. CPUs on the hardest difficulty, level 9, would frequently stand idle at the edge of stages, randomly jump off, or fail to engage meaningfully in battles. For a game aiming to appeal to both casual fans and competitive players, this lack of polish in fundamental gameplay systems was a significant misstep. A misguided focus on story mode. One of the most baffling decisions was the heavy investment in a story mode that no one had asked for. While the idea of a narrative-driven experience might have appealed on paper, its execution left much to be desired. The story mode quickly became repetitive, forcing players to endure the same handful of stages and poorly designed bosses. To make matters worse, technical issues, including frequent crashes, further marred the experience. This misallocation of resources was especially glaring given the inclusion of minigames in the arcade mode, another feature that felt like filler rather than meaningful content. Fans overwhelmingly agreed that a focus on core modes like Battle Mode, Arcade, and online play would have been a far better use of the game's limited budget. Instead, the story mode felt like a waste of resources in a game that already struggled with rushed development. Roster decisions. Cutting fan favorites. Perhaps the most painful blow to fans was the drastic reduction and reconfiguration of the roster. A total of 12 characters from the first game were removed, including Hugh Neutron, a fan favorite whose addition to the original via DLC had been the result of a passionate community campaign. His absence, along with the removal of beloved characters like Helga, Hey Arnold, and 2 of the 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, was met with widespread disappointment. The new roster decisions only compounded the frustration. Side characters like Grandma Gertie and Gerald from Hey Arnold were added, while main characters like Arnold himself were inexplicably left out. Fans were left scratching their heads, wondering why the game prioritized these secondary figures over iconic leads. The game's future, a grim outlook. As Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 turned 1-year-old in 2024, its final DLC character was released, leaving fans uncertain about its future. With Gameville Entertainment reportedly firing most of the development team due to low return on investment, ROI, any hopes for further updates or DLC appear slim. The game feels abandoned, with its shortcomings glaring brighter than ever. A path forward. What fans want in a third game. The disappointment surrounding Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 has fueled calls for a third installment that learns from the franchise's past mistakes. Fans are clear about their demands for a potential sequel. Gameplay restoration. Bring back the speed and fluidity of the first game, removing restrictive mechanics like the slime meter. Comprehensive roster. Include every main character from Nickelodeon's iconic shows, alongside the newer additions from the second game. No more cuts or puzzling roster decisions. Prioritize core features. Focus development on battle modes, arcade, and online play. Eliminate unnecessary features like minigames, and ensure that all modes are polished and stable. Commitment to quality. Take the time to develop a game that respects its community's expectations, rather than rushing out a product to meet publisher deadlines. Why we need a third game. 1. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is done. The harsh reality is that Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is effectively a dead game. The developers have gone radio silent, not even acknowledging the game's 1-year anniversary, a milestone that would typically be an opportunity to engage with the community and showcase new updates. The player base has dwindled to almost nothing, with only a small group of dedicated fans clinging on, creating content, or pleading for additional DLC. However, such efforts feel misplaced when the foundation of the game itself is broken. Continuing to release DLC fighters for a game that has already failed to capture or sustain interest is a pointless endeavor. The better solution is to acknowledge the shortcomings, cut losses, and start fresh. The mistakes of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 need to serve as lessons for building something better, rather than doubling down on a flawed product. 2. Take Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 1 as the baseline. Despite its own imperfections, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 1 set a strong foundation for the franchise. The gameplay was fast, fun, and appealed to both casual players and competitive fighting game enthusiasts. It lacked polish in certain features but captured the essence of what fans wanted: a platform fighter with heart, excitement, and respect for Nickelodeon's beloved characters. The third game should look to the original as a baseline for gameplay mechanics and pacing. It needs to restore the dynamic combat system, bring back the cut characters, and prioritize the core elements that made the first game enjoyable. The DNA of a great game exists. It just needs to be refined and expanded upon. 3. More communication with the fans. One of the biggest failings of Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 has been the lack of transparent communication. Fans feel ignored, with their concerns dismissed or overlooked. If there's one thing the next game absolutely must do, it's establish a better relationship with the community. Regular updates, genuine engagement, and a clear roadmap would go a long way toward rebuilding trust. Developers should avoid catering solely to the demands of a handful of content creators who may not even fully engage with the game. While influencers can be important, the core audience, players who are actively buying and playing the game, should take priority. Listening to the broader community ensures the game is built for the people who actually want to see it thrive. 4. Build a game worth the price. If a third game is to succeed, it must justify its price tag by delivering a polished, complete experience. Players deserve a game with proper CPU AI. No more broken AI that idles on stage edges or throws itself off the map. Stable online play, reliable matchmaking, strong netcode, and features like lobbies and tournaments. Solid fundamentals, fluid controls, responsive mechanics, and a focus on gameplay over unnecessary gimmicks. Releasing a rushed product without these basics is a disservice to the fans who invest their time and money. If the developers aren't willing to meet these standards, it's better they pursue another line of work than continue to underdeliver. The gaming community isn't asking for perfection. They're asking for competence and respect for their investment. 5. A game that deserves its price and player loyalty. A third game represents a chance to reset expectations and restore faith in the franchise. If done right, it can offer a roster that respects Nickelodeon's legacy, bringing back cut characters and including key fan favorites. Gameplay that's fast, engaging, and built for both casual fun and competitive depth. Modes and features that enhance replayability and foster a thriving player community. Simply adding more DLC fighters to Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 is not the answer. The game has failed to hold interest, and sinking more resources into it is a waste. A third installment, built from the ground up with lessons learned, is the only way to truly deliver a game that fans will rally around. A third game is not just an opportunity to course correct. It's the franchise's last chance to prove itself. By addressing the core issues that plagued the first two games, roster decisions, gameplay mechanics, online infrastructure, and post-launch support, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 3 can finally deliver the experience fans have been hoping for. The key is simple: listen to the community, prioritize quality, and build a game that respects the legacy of Nickelodeon and the expectations of its players. Anything less will only doom the franchise further.